Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving amid the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong.
All right, all right. We need a little solidarity. How about that? I want to thank Pete Seeger for writing that song. I want to thank singing. I want to thank RC for helping us with the sound system. I want to thank Rob for putting everything together. He's been doing a fantastic job. Give a hand to Rob. He's all by himself. Okay, one-man wrecking crew. All right. Get into the story at hand. Police terror, privatization, and systemic racism. All of them have a place in our society, but guess what? We finna ball them all up and throw them in the basket of trash where they belong. Because it's time. This nation has spoke. The world has spoke. If you can't tell by the thousands and thousands of demonstrations since they lynched George Floyd, you must be sleeping in a cave, okay? Because I had never seen such mass demonstrations from people of all colors, of all ethnic backgrounds, of all cultures, uniting and genders, uniting together. Red, yellow, black, white, and brown. I tell you, they are focused on one thing, and that's a change. No more business as usual. If I was in office, I'll be nervous. Because if you see the mass demonstration, you see the amount of people. The amount of people can change things when they focus on one thing, and that's to eliminate systemic racism, privatization, and police terror. You had those 3 cops who thought they had got away with something for a year and a half. Their self-portraits, selfies, came back and bit them right in their ass. 2 were fired and 1 resigned. Just 2 years later, after that kid come home from going to the store to get some orange juice so he can have it for the next day when he wake up for breakfast. But he didn't wake up that morning. And to make things worse, they gave him a sedative to try to calm him down. Since when do the police use injections on arrest? That was a heinous crime on that kid. And 2 years later, he's finally getting some kind of justice. Is that a shame? That is a downright shame. He would have to go 2 years before somebody would say something. Had it not been for George Floyd, he probably would have been swept over just like another statistic.
Lives on the line for us.
We looking at video last week of a couple in Louisiana. One standing outside of his house with an AR-16 and the lady with a Derringer, pointed dead to rights at protesters. Was he arrested? Did the police even knock on his door? Did he even get a parking ticket? Nope. Because black lives don't matter to him. Lady last night took it upon herself to go into the street with some black paint and cover up Black Lives Matter. Yep. What? She did it all by herself. Her husband. And then took video of it while he was doing it. Do you know 2 hours later that sign was back where it was supposed to be? Because right now people are looking. People are paying attention. Black lives do matter. All black lives matter. So as we head out to that Coliseum, to tell none other than John what we think about him and his KIPP schools, his charter schools, his GAP, and his whatever he's trying to do. Mr. Fisher, you're not welcome here in Oakland. Mr. Fisher, you're not welcome down here on these docks. Mr. Fisher, you have not shown your face on TV so that nobody can see you. You send your flunky, John Carver, to go protest down at the city council. You send your flunky, John Carver, to come down here to West Oakland to try to smooth these people about what we can do for them. You send your flunky, John Carver, down there to Howard Terminal to talk to Rob Bonta and Nancy Skinner. Well, guess what? Guess what? You're not going to be able to send your flunky to come down and talk to us because guess what? We ain't listening. We ain't having it. Take your KIPP, take your rocket ship, and fly the hell up out of here because we don't need you no more. You want to invest some money? Put it out there in West Oakland. Save some of these people that's off the street. Get them off the streets. We don't need to spend $156 million on the damn stadium. You got people can't even afford to live here in Oakland, and you want to build a playground for some baseball players. Really? For the privileged few? Where the economic devastation of the many? Which one are you going to choose? The ILWU has stood tall and been the vanguard for fights for people's rights forever, ever since its inception. And we've been fighting right along with that. And the next speaker is going to come to you. He's going to bring it on. He's going to tell you about what the struggle is. He's going to tell you the history of the ILWU. He's going to inform you that the ILWU is with the community. It's of the community, and we work for the community because we're supported by the community. So I want you to understand one thing before I let go of this mic. It's ILWU forever. ILWU forever. And I want y'all to repeat after me. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. All Black Lives Matter. All Black Lives Matter. And then when you see this symbol, this is the symbol for power to the people. Power to the people. This is the Black Panther. Power to the people.
Power to the people.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, brothers and sisters, revolution, revolution. I like that song. But listen, before I bring up our next speaker, I just wanted to reiterate something that Brother Zeltzer was talking about the charter schools. I was watching a documentary on HBO, and they showed these parents in New York trying to get their kids into these chartered schools. And they had to come to this, I guess what you call it, a orientation or some type of meeting where these people actually picked the kids who were going to be accepted into the school. What does that look like? This is because I know I keep relating our cause to all of the other causes that we're talking about. Right? Now, what does that remind you of when a bunch of kids have to gather together and then you got these people picking and choosing which kids are going to get the education and which kids aren't? Say it again, brother. Shape up. Shape up. Okay, now you know what the shape up leads to? Shape up leads to racism, favoritism. It leads to hungry mouths. Now here in the ILWU, we made it so that there is no shape up. That way, a woman ILWU member earns the same as a man ILWU member. Okay. A black man ILWU member earns the same as a white man ILWU member. Doesn't matter what religion you practice, doesn't matter which community you come from, a member of the LGBT community earns the same as me.
on the waterfront out here. Okay, because there is no discrimination here. And when you bring charter schools to areas and you disrupt the public school system, this is what you're bringing to this area. This is what Fisher wants to bring to this area. He wants to bring the shape up. No! And he wants to bring low-paying jobs. No! So what's going to happen when they build the stadium? Are they going to have the same thing out there when the A's have a game? Are you going to gather a bunch of people, poor people in the community together and pick and choose who serves the peanuts? Okay, and the ice cream and all of that? Because we're not going to have it. We're not having that. But that's how our struggle relates to the other struggles that we're hearing about. Okay, and the brother I'm bringing up to the mic next is one of my mentors. I've learned a lot from this brother over the years. He's a retired ILWU Local 10 member who I'm very proud to call my brother. He is the real Clarence Thomas, not this clown, this judge up here who is attacking women's reproductive rights. Okay, but the real Clarence Thomas, the ILWU Local 10 member, Clarence Thomas.
Are you ready to fight?
Yeah.
Are you ready to fight?
Yeah.
I did not hear you. Are you ready to fight?
Yeah.
All right. I know y'all tired of hearing speeches. But you got to understand one thing. Look around. But there are many, many more people that are listening on radio to what's being said here today. And I got to say something that everybody needs to hear. I'm retired from the waterfront, but not from the struggle.
All right. Yeah.
My people started working on this waterfront in 1944. My father started in 65, my uncle started in 67, and I started in 1985. My father and Trent Willis' dad, the real bust, or should I say, the original buster, came in at the same time, 1963. A lot has been said here today, but I'm going to put it in context for you. Black Lives Matter, stopping police terror, protecting the port. Everybody who's standing here and who's listening should understand that that was in play in 1934. Harry Bridges demonstrated that Black Lives Matter. When Harry Bridges went to the black churches, he did that because he understood that was the only way that they could win that struggle. He demonstrated that the interest and the destiny of white workers were inextricably linked. That means that they were locked in. Whether or not people who were victimized by white supremacy and systemic racism realized it or not. That action on the part of Harry Bridges, Henry Schmidt, and other leftists and communists was a blow against white supremacy. That's what it was. Harry demonstrated that Black Lives Matter when he went to the black community and appealed to them to join the struggle. That is the reason why we blacks in Local 10 and Local 34 are the only predominantly African-American longshore workers on the West Coast. Yes, it would not have happened had it not been for Bridges and his boldness. He understood the relationship between race and class and demonstrated it. On the question of police terror, let me read something to you. I'm reading from The Men Along the Shore and the Legacy of 1934. Listen to me carefully. Listen. The San Francisco police were known for their corruption and graft. They were second only to Los Angeles' notorious Red Squad in the use of brutality. For the first time, the city contracted with an arms dealer who was marketing tear gas and riot guns for use on an experimental basis. Did you hear what I said? I'm going to repeat it again. For the first time, the city contracted with an arms dealer who was marketing tear gas and riot guns for use on an experimental basis. On Tuesday, July 3rd, The employers, called the Industrial Association, declared that the port would open. Mike Quinn described the scene in The Big Strike. The Embarcadero became a vast tangle of fighting men. Bricks flew, clubs battered skulls. The police opened fire with revolvers and riot guns. Clouds of tear gas swept picket lines and sent men choking in retreat. Mounted police were dragged from their saddles and beaten to the pavement. The cobblestones of the Embarcadero were littered with fallen men. Bright puddles of blood colored the gray expanse. The battle lasts for 4 hours. The Industrial Association ran a newspaper ad stating the port was now open. During the July 4th celebration, the mayor chimed in, the end of the communist strike. AFL President William Green joined the chorus denouncing the communist-dominated strike. The next day, the battle continued. On July 5th, after Independence Day holiday, the strikers were joined by workers and students from all over the city, swelling picket lines to over 2,000. At 8 a.m., the police again went into action. The battle lasted all day. In the afternoon, the police attacked the Union Hall with tear gas. 2 union members were shot near the hall, and hundreds were wounded. Now think about that and compare to what's going on in the streets today. Those strikers were trying to save the port from privatization, from company unions. And if they would have allowed to have their way, there wouldn't be an ILWU, or at least not the form that we have it right now. I want to tie this in to what this multi-billionaire is attempting to do here. This represents the biggest existential threat to the ILWU Local 10 and 34 since the 1934 strike. Don't let anybody fool you about this. Do you know that there are forces, perhaps even some within the maritime industry, that would like to see Local 10 weakened? That would like to see this work go to some other port on the coast? Who would like to see a union that stands up for the working class and for black people and brown people to be weakened? Now, when you think about this bullshit, I'm going to quote Brother Andy Garcia, who stood on this very stage on Juneteenth before he had a heart attack. He's no longer with us. But Brother Andy said 2 things that I got a quote from him today. The first one is, this idea of building a ballpark and hotels and retail at the Port of Oakland is like building an amusement park on an assembly line. The other quote that he said, I want to stop the billionaire from building at the Port of Oakland, and I want to quote Malcolm X. We're going to stop them from doing it by any means necessary.
Yeah!
I'm going to close with this. All this talk about the class struggle, all this talk about the billionaires and about our democracy, all this talk about gentrification, deindustrialization of the cities, is all in play right here in the city of Oakland. Trent has spoken so eloquently today about how the Democratic Party and the Republican Party serve the interests. They are 2 sides of the same coin. They got the same bosses. And those bosses are the rich and the powerful. Now, something that you all may not know, because I'm sure most of you here probably voted for Barack Obama. But let me tell you this. Do you know that the Fisher family was part of dark money, contributing billions of dollars against Obama? But yet Ron Bonta and Nancy Skinner, who claim to be friends of labor, are doing his bidding? How in the hell can any of these so-called Democrats who call themselves progressive allow this BS to go down? I'm calling them out. Where's Barbara Lee? Supposed to be one of the most radical members of the Congress. Where is she now? We haven't heard from her. Why is it that the first vice president of the Port Commission is a man who is the secretary treasurer of the building trades? Whose interest is he promoting when he wants to see a ballpark and a retail center and a hotel and 3,000 condominiums at the Port of Oakland? And the audacity for them to say, oh, we can make this work. Did you see the train just go by here, brothers and sisters? That's only one of the train lines that go right in front of Howard Terminal. That was Southern Pacific. The other one is what? No, the other one is Amtrak. I'm 72. Sometimes I get a little forgetful, yeah. But we on top of this. How in the hell can you have a ballpark with 2 trains running in front of it? How in the hell can you have a ballpark on land that's specifically designated for maritime and industrial use? Has been that way for over 125 years. But guess what? In the era of Donald Trump, neoliberalism is at play. Well, you say, Brother Clarence, what are you talking about? You say neoliberalism. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's when a billionaire could come to the 3rd busiest port on the West Coast. This is the gateway to Asia. It's the fastest destination point from Asia to the United States of America. Yep. But he's going to build a ballpark here where exporters who grow almonds, where people who are in the wine business depend on this port for export. This is the economic engine for not only the Bay Area, but for the entire Northern California region. I'm calling them out. If we allow this shit to go down, there'll be a lot of finger pointing about what the hell happened. Let me break it down for you. Some of the most expensive real estate in the city of Oakland is out there at that port. 150 acres. The Fisher family wants that. But wait, they want more. They want 55 acres at the 3rd busiest port on the West Coast. And because they're wrapped up in sentiment about the Oakland A's, people are not looking at who the hell these people really are. This is one of the biggest ripoffs to go down in the 21st century when it comes to a municipality. And I'm just so grateful that the ILWU is standing up. But I'm going to tell you right now, these speeches ain't going to get that done. These doggone elected officials got to know when your ass vote for this bullshit, your ass is out. Yeah. It's your ass is out of here. So I'm going to close with this. An injury to one is an injury to all. United we stand, and divided we fall. An injury to one is an injury to all. United we stand. All power to the people. All right, thank you very much.
We're going to wrap this up here in the port. Before we go, I want to make sure I don't leave here without recognizing a very important brother and a very important sister here that's with us today, that's been with the ILWU for years, been activists for years, freedom fighters for years, Brother Ralph Showman and Sister Maya. Thank you for all your help that you've given the ILWU over the years, in particular with this situation here. We look forward to keep working with you. Stay strong, because we need you. All right, brothers and sisters, so we're going to start this caravan, but before we start, I'm not going to mention anything about yesterday because I don't celebrate yesterday. I'm not going to even call it. Yesterday was July 4th to me. Didn't mean shit. Okay? Because July 4th, 1776, my ancestors were still in chains. So why would we be celebrating freedom if we wasn't free? Okay? In 1776, the working man and woman wasn't free, no matter what race they were. So why are we celebrating that? Why do we have a president in office right now who's supposed to be so patriotic, but he wants to celebrate traitors that went to war against the country he's supposed to be patriotic about. What is that? This is why we can't afford, as working people, man and woman, to support the political parties we have in Washington, D.C. right now. We have to have a workers' party. We have to have a million workers' party. Millions of us need to join this party. Because whether we like it or not, as working people in this country, we are in a union. We are automatically in a union by being working people. We just need to learn how to support each other. Okay? The ILWU wasn't the ILWU forever. There were dock workers that learned that we have to support each other to get what we need. All workers in this country have to do that. Starts with a political party. These politicians in this city and everywhere else that don't want to honor the needs of working people need to get the hell out of office. They don't need to be representing us. Because if you're in Washington, D.C. right now and you're not listening to us, then you're not representing us anyway. Okay, the title of Democrat doesn't automatically get your support from us. Not anymore. It's time to change that. It's time to quit going over and over through this same cycle, over and over again. That's because we're supporting the wrong people. Now, I don't know what happened to the Labor Party in this country. We had a Labor Party. I don't know what happened to it. Okay, but we damn sure need to bring it back. And when we bring that Labor Party back, which I know we're going to do, we cannot allow any discrimination within that Labor Party. We have to represent all workers. That includes black, brown, white, LGBT, whoever will be able to join our Labor Party and be represented as a worker. That's what I look forward to that day, so we can have a say-so in Washington, D.C. for a change. All right, so we want to thank all of our brothers and sisters for coming out today and joining us in this caravan. We're going to get started right now. We know we've been running our mouths for a while. So if everybody can please go to your cars now, we're going to line